Hello, Loving Thyself family. Welcome back to Loving Thyself podcast, where healing meets faith and self love meets purpose. I am Darlisha,
I'm Woodrow.
and today we're going to talk about something that changed our lives forever. Learning that self love isn't selfish, is stewardship. God is owner of all things, and us as humans are the managers of those resources. You got the three T's: your time, your talent, and your treasures. You have to ask yourself, what are you doing with the time that God has given you? Are you using your time wisely? Are you praying? Are you spending time with your family? What are you doing with the time that God has given you each day? Your talents, your God given gifts, your abilities, your strengths, what are you doing with those talents? Are you using those talents to serve God and his purpose? Or are you using those talents for selfish reasons or for yourself? Those are talents that God has given you so that he can get his glorification. Your treasures, what are you using your money for? Are you paying your tithes, your offering? Are you giving back to the community? What are you doing with the treasures that God has entrusted you with? I think a lot of times me and you talk about self love and what it means to truly love yourself and how to love yourself. But I think people misunderstand what loving yourself is not.
I think loving yourself is not allowing other people to disrespect you. Not loving yourself is not disrespecting yourself. And I also feel like loving yourself is not ignorance.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And then also, a lot of times, like the misunderstanding of loving yourself is when you ignore taking accountability.
Correct.
A lot of times people think that like they can sin or have negative patterns or just, do negative things and then they justify it with that's just who I am, that's how I talk because they're afraid of changing themselves because they feel like they're not being 100 with themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like you can't ignore accountability because you feel like if you change, you're not being true to yourself, and that's not self-love, like
Yeah, because self-love is growth.
yeah, so it's like you can't say, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna talk this way because that's who I am and I'm being true to myself."
Right.
No, you're not being true to yourself, you're ignoring accountability.
You just saying that remind me of something. I know a lot of people that have people like living with them that they don't want really living with them, but they're afraid to say something, and that's like a sign of not loving yourself
Yeah,
because you're allowing other people to do you harm, and you not woman enough or man enough to stick up for yourself
yeah,
because you don't love yourself enough to say, "I'm not going to put myself through this." You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Or
I
just allowing people to take advantage
advantage
of
of
you,
yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying.
yeah, and it's like with having someone live with you that you don't want living
Yeah,
with you.
because if you don't stick up for you, who gonna stick up for you?
Yeah, and then a lot of times you think that you're showing love or that's a way that you're showing that you love somebody because it's like you're taking on things that doesn't feel good to you,
Yep,
but you feel like you got to do it because that's how I show my love.
yep.
But it's like that's not showing love.
Or just
Like,
afraid that you may make the next party upset, but you gotta take you over everything. You gotta
yeah,
take you over any and everybody, you know what I mean? Because
yeah,
like I say, who's gonna make sure you're good?
yeah,
You gotta make sure you're good. You know what I mean?
yeah. And at
Ain't that
that
ain't nobody else's job but yours, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then at that point, it's like you're neglecting your own needs and your
Yep.
own feelings, and that's not love. That's not self-love when you feeling uncomfortable because you're trying to please
Yep.
others.
And that's the importance of like meditation. That's that's the importance of it. Like take some time out for yourself. Every day I feel like you should at least take 10 minutes out for yourself. At least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're doing in life. Take 10 minutes out for yourself. You know
I
what I mean?
and I wanna ask you a question.
Okay.
When was a time that you feel like you misunderstood what self-love is? Because it's easy to confuse the 2 between loving yourself and not loving yourself. Like, when was a time that you misunderstood what self-love really was?
Oh, man. And in order for me to explain that, I'm gonna have to go into a story. Is that cool?
Yeah, okay.
When I had my first child, I was with his mother, right?
Mhm.
And it was a lot of things in that relationship that I allowed to go on that shouldn't have went on. and
Okay.
I did it off the sake of my son because I felt like that was love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I didn't have a father figure in my life. So
Mhm.
nobody never taught me how to be a father. I was learning as I go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was a lot of things. Like I thought an unhealthy home. I thought like when you living in an unhealthy situation, I thought you supposed to like try to make things work no matter what.
Yeah.
Like no matter what type of abuse you taking, you got to make it work for the sake of that child.
Right.
And that's not true. That's not true. But that in my mind,
Yeah.
that's what I believe because I didn't have anybody to tell me different. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But in that situation, I had to find out on my own that this is not love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm doing more harm staying than leaving. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So if that answers your question,
In that relationship, it sounds like you were taking on all of these things because you were trying to fulfill what you thought felt good to yourself, what you thought was self-love,
yep,
but in reality, it was not loving yourself.
yeah, it was loving myself.
Yeah, so it's like you took on all of this feeling like, "Okay, this is how I fulfill the love that I need, how I fulfill things that my heart desires," and that's not self-love.
It's not. It's
You know what
not.
I'm saying? Like, if you're taking on negative things that's hurting you or negative situations that's hurting you, it's not love, it's not loving yourself.
And in that time, I found myself in a depressing state.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I remember that time, like I think that's around the time where I was just like, man, this like, I can't do this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like be real with myself. Like, I can't do this. And then when I looked around, uh, I seen a lot of my friends. They wasn't with a child mother, but I never wanted to be that guy, and I never understood it until it became me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Until I was in the situation. Now I'm like, oh, this
Yeah.
is why people don't be what they, I
Yeah.
get it now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But you got to live and learn. You got to live and learn.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's a process.
yeah, and it's just the misunderstanding of it, and I think in some situations, you don't understand that you're not loving yourself until you have some form of healing,
Mhm.
and then you look back and you be like, "Whoa, what I thought was loving myself
Wasn't
was
loving myself.
actually not loving
And
myself."
when you look around and you see other people that's happy in their relationships and you start telling yourself, that was another thing. Like I look around and I see other people that was happy in their relationships and I used to be like, I wonder what that'd feel like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you get to thinking things like that, it's time for you to go.
Yeah.
It's time for you to start seeking love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you start to realize that you've been mistreated and you gotta choose you over all things. I can't stress that no more. Choose you over all things.
Yeah.
Protect your mental by all costs. You have to. You have to.
Yeah. And I feel like a time for me, when I felt like I misunderstood what self-love is, a lot of times I feel like I can be a perfectionist.
Mhm.
Like I want to be this perfect mom, this perfect wife, this perfect daughter. And when you're trying to be perfect, you're not giving yourself a chance to be flawed. You're not giving yourself chance to make mistakes. And where you're not being flawed and you're not making mistakes, that means you're not growing. So it's like I'm walking around trying to be perfect, but like I'm also hindering my blessings because I'm not growing. I'm not learning life lessons.
Mhm.
Like I'm not giving myself that room to, just grow and make
Yep.
mistakes.
Yep.
And for me, a time where I was trying to be perfect, I felt like when I wrote that book, and I think it was 2022 when I wrote the children's book, I just kept working on it and working on it, trying to find the perfect moment to publish that book. And because I took so much time trying to make sure things was perfect, that I never published that book. And I missed out on my blessing because trying to be a perfectionist, that I didn't listen to what God told me when God said, put this book out. I could have been a blessing to many families, many children, but I I missed out on my blessing because
You doubted yourself.
yeah, and I just, that misunderstanding of trying to, just be a perfectionist, feeling like that was loving myself, and
Yeah.
it really wasn't.
Yeah. Because when you start to show that fear, that means you don't trust yourself enough.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of times you can miss out on your blessings because of your fear. You know what I mean? But that's like you right, you're absolutely right. Like that's not love. That's not self-love. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you have to trust yourself. You have to say, but you also have to train yourself to trust yourself.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because we come from a difficult background. We didn't come, everything wasn't peaches and cream in our life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We come from a difficult background where people wasn't emotionally in tune with themselves. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's something that we learn in influence. Our parents wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Our parents got a lot of self-healing that needed to be done, but you had to be tough in their days. You know what I mean?
Me trying to be a perfectionist is just it can mess up a lot of things, and I just feel like even with us starting this podcast,
Mm,
this is something that this journey is something that God has laid on our hearts, laid in our paths, and if I let me trying to be a perfectionist, like, if I let that get in the way, we wouldn't be in this moment, in this space right now.
yeah,
Right now, it's empty in here, like, we
yeah,
don't really have nothing, but we just moving on faith,
yeah.
and we doing what God has called us to do.
Hmm.
Now, if I was stuck in my perfectionist stage and I didn't learn that being perfect or trying to be a perfectionist wasn't self-love, not loving myself,
Hmm.
we wouldn't be in this moment, we wouldn't be in this space, and I'll be hindering the blessings that God got for us because I'll be like, well, we need better lighting, we need this, we need that. But it's like you just gotta go. When God
Gotta
tell you to
go.
move, you gotta go.
Gotta move, man.
Yeah. So it's like, it's all of those misunderstandings of what love is and what love isn't.
Yeah.
But as we talked about what love is not, in your opinion, what do you think self-love is?
Self-love is taking time out for yourself, man. I can't stress that no more. I'ma constantly keep saying that. You gotta love yourself more than anybody else love you. You gotta take time out for yourself because of the simple fact. Let me tell you something. How can you be there for others if you're not there for yourself?
Yeah. No, I
You know what
totally
I mean?
agree. Yeah.
How can you be 100% you if you're not there for yourself? Well, how in the Bible would say, love thy neighbor, right?
Yeah.
How can you love thy neighbor if you don't love yourself?
Right.
You can't love nobody. You can't how did that saying go? An empty cup can't pour into others.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then even with that verse, love thy neighbor, how you love yourself, it's telling you to love yourself correctly because the verse wouldn't be love thy neighbor like thyself if God didn't expect you to love yourself correctly. For me, loving myself is not letting my feelings control me, is letting God refine me.
Mm.
And I feel like letting God refine me through healing of my mind, my body, and my soul. So that's healing mentally, physically, and emotionally. So when you loving yourself mentally, how are you treating yourself? Like, what are you feeding your mental? Like, are you giving yourself daily affirmations? Are you being good to your mind?
When I'm loving myself, you know what I like to do? I like to meditate. I like to work out. I like to play with my fruits and my vegetables. I like to, mix things together to see healthy ways to eat and to better my health. I like to deal with, certain supplements like fish oil pills. I like those, black seed oil,
Uh,
sea moss, things like that. And I also like to, get the watermelon and juice it. That's one
yeah,
of the things I like to do. And then this year, how we was talking about starting our garden. That's another thing for me that's like self-love. Like
yeah,
it's a lot of things that I like to do this. So and we love to meditate. We
yeah,
got a whole meditation room in our house. Meditation/prayer room in our house. And prayer. All of those things I just named are things to love yourself
yeah. And
because
it's
it's all taking time out for yourself. Because if I don't do those things like on a daily, how would I be able to be the best husband for you? How would I be able to be the best father for the kids? You know
yeah.
what I mean? So it it creates a better me for y'all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then a lot of times I think people think that self-love is just like, oh, I'm gonna take me a bubble bath and I'm just gonna unwind and
That's
relax.
to me. I feel
That's
like that's a
but
good.
that's a good start,
Yeah.
but it's so much more deeper than that. That's just the surface because for me, I can take a bubble bath and yeah, it might clear my mind for that moment, but it's really about healing.
Yeah,
Like you have to dig deeper. Like, you can take a bubble bath. That's the surface, but I feel like when you love yourself, you dig deep. Like you get to the root of things. You
yeah,
get to the healing of your mind. You get to the healing of, your physical health and your spiritual health.
yeah.
When it comes to your mental, like if you even if you need therapy, I know a lot of times, people don't trust in therapy or they don't feel like they need therapy.
Mhm.
Getting a quality time with God and, praying, just working on your mental.
To get to that trauma.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, get
about
to
the healing of it
yeah.
all. And then even with physical, like you got to make sure you treating your body good. Like, your body is your temple.
Mhm.
Are you treating your body in a godly manner?
Yeah.
Are you
Check the temple.
yeah, so it's like, we gotta work out, eat healthy, and Lord knows I don't like working out, but you gotta treat your body well.
Somebody told me that. They say, everything that's good for you is hard.
Yeah, cause
It's
I
it's it's hard to work out. It's hard to eat healthy. It's hard to hold yourself accountable.
yeah,
Everything that's good for you is
yeah.
hard.
Also, I feel like one of the biggest things when it comes to loving yourself, you have to forgive yourself for your past mistakes and just past things that a lot of people hold in their heart. Like, in order to truly love yourself, you have to forgive yourself. You can't just hold on to past mistakes or past regrets. If God has already forgiven you for it, like, why are you carrying it with you?
Yeah,
And that's not self-love to just walk around with this guilt.
right.
If God has forgiven you and you have repent and you ask for his forgiveness, you are allowed to move forward and just, be the person that God has called you to be in that moment. Like a lot of times people don't forgive themselves. Like you have to forgive yourself in order to love yourself. It's not fair to you to walk around with that.
With that hurt and that hate.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
you
like
gotta forgive
forgive
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah. Man, forgiveness is a lot of times we don't even realize that we dealing with certain things. That's why it was important when you said you gotta get to the root of things.
Yeah,
That was very important because a lot of times we walking around with hate and we walking around with a broken heart and we don't even know it because we didn't even take time out for ourselves.
yeah,
And we don't even realize that we hurting or we hating until we sat down and just one day everything just come pouring out. I don't know if you heard the first episode when I tell you like I was walking to the bathroom and I got on my knees and I started crying
yeah,
out for help. I was crying out to God. And that's because I never took the time out to heal properly.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? I was always keeping myself busy. And by me keeping myself busy, I was never able to deal with the problem.
yeah.
So when I finally got
Down to
free,
the root.
yeah, when
Yeah,
I finally got free and I was as you know how they say in the Bible, stand still,
yeah,
right? And when got still,
yeah,
everything happened.
yeah.
I started weeping like a baby. You know what I
But
mean?
the beauty in that is that you gotta release
Mm,
that you never knew that you needed. And
yeah,
a lot of times, like, we gotta release stuff. Like, in order to really truly heal, you gotta release. Like,
true.
you gotta release past trauma,
Mhm.
past guilt. Like, you have to release those things that's holding you back. Like, you can't fully love yourself unless you release those things.
Yeah,
And then also, like, how do you feel about setting boundaries? Because I feel like a lot of times, like, people feel like when you set boundaries for yourself, for your sanity, they feel like you're not being right, but those boundaries are needed for self-love. Like,
yeah.
what you think about that?
Man, I think you gotta set boundaries because if you don't set boundaries, you allow people to run all over you. For instance, I remember when I was like 19 years old, right? I was working at this restaurant and there was this boy that always needed a ride to work, right? He was a friend of mine. He always needed this ride to work. Every time, yeah, man, can you drop me off?
Yeah,
Okay, and then, hey man, we gotta be to work at the same time. Can you pick me up? You know, and a day became a week.
yeah,
A week became a month. A month became a year.
yeah,
And it was like at some point man, I gotta quit bringing you to work and picking you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because at this point, I'm taking a lot out of myself to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's why you gotta set boundaries. When you don't want to do something, make it clear and make
Yeah.
it plain.
Yeah.
I don't wanna do it. I'm sorry. I love you like a brother,
Yeah.
but I can't do that. You know what I mean? I got you about 1 or 2 times, but this not gonna be an everyday thing. You know what I mean? You gotta figure something else out. You know what I mean? And that's even like when it comes and that's in every different scenario. Like you can use that like
Saying no, I guess.
just saying no.
Yeah,
You
like
just have
setting
to
boundaries.
say, "Oh, it's okay to say
Yes.
no.
Yeah.
It's okay to say no."
Yeah, like, people think that you can't say no, but if you're walking around and you're saying yes to everything, how is that really, like, truly loving yourself?
Yeah, you walking around miserable.
Everybody else happy and
Yeah.
they loving you, but are you truly loving yourself if
No.
you're, like, spreading yourself thin and you're saying yes to every single thing that somebody asks you? Like, how is that fair to yourself?
And you don't have to come off harsh. You can say it in a respectful manner. You know what I mean? It don't
Yeah,
have to be disrespectful. It could be, look, I don't really think that this is healthy for our friendship
right.
because I'm taking you back and forth to work. And although I don't have a problem with it, it's just weighing a lot on me. It
Yeah,
could be that simple, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And to value our friendship, I think maybe you should find another ride. You know
right.
what I mean? And if she a real friend or he a real friend, they'll understand that. You know what I mean? But if
Yeah,
they don't understand that, they wasn't your friend from the get go.
yeah. So we talked about what loving yourself is not. We talked about how do you truly love yourself.
Hmm.
Now, I want to ask you, how do you how do you fully heal when you're married? Cuz we talked about healing a lot. Like,
Oh man.
how do you go
Oh man.
how do
It's
you
about to get real, y'all.
yes, like
Oh man.
how do you think how do you think a person can go through these healing processes in within a marriage because that's tough.
I'm gonna tell you something. It's very hard. It's hard because you was like when you in a marriage, whoever you married to, they dealing with a broken version of you. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you leave in a past relationship, and a lot of times you when you leave that relationship, you also carrying on that baggage from
right.
that relationship to your new relationship. So in any relationship, it's gonna be some baggage there because that person had an ex, that person had a life before you, and a
Yeah,
lot of times it's hard to leave that life behind and start this new thing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So when like me and you, for instance, when I met you, you was dealing with a broken version of me. Like
yeah.
you starting to reap the benefits of the me today,
Thank you, God.
but I wasn't the guy I was today then. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't want to really tell my past, but like I wasn't the best guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But when you in a relationship and you bringing on that hurt and that drama, you gotta have a. You was very patient with me.
yeah,
You was very understanding. You was very nurturing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
No, I
and
agree.
and I appreciate that because I don't think anybody else would have deal with what you deal with, but I think that's why we so strong today. I
Yeah,
think that's why we've been together for so long. I think that's why our relationship is so strong because we went through the ups and downs. You know what I mean? We done went through any and everything you could think about. You know what I mean? We've
yeah,
been together for what, 19 years? We've
yeah.
been married for 2. All the things that we have seen over the years, like you have lost a lot of family members.
Mhm.
I have lost a lot of family
Yeah.
members. You have
And
seen
just
a
being
lot.
together,
Yeah,
trying to heal through that. Like,
yeah.
even with that, like, just learning how to grieve
Mhm. With
in a
one another.
marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, me learning how to handle you when you're grieving or
Mhm,
you learning me when I'm grieving.
mhm.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's healing on your own. It's hard,
It is.
but, like, when you're married and you have to heal, you gotta be, like, considerate
Yeah.
of your partner. You gotta make sure that you're not, like, triggering them.
Yeah,
Like
because a lot of times, like, when you dealing with something, a lot of times we like to shut down. We
yeah,
don't wanna be bothered, but you gotta remember that you have a
it's not
family.
just you.
Yeah, it ain't
Yeah,
just you, you got a family.
yeah,
You got kids that's still depending on you, your husband still depending on you, your wife still depending on you, however it may go, you know what I mean? But, yeah, you absolutely right, and then, you know, That's one of the hardest things to go through, like, when you're going through, like, a death situation, like, when you're going through, like, losing a loved one. That's a very tough one to go through, you know what I mean? And like you say, it get very lonely, but you gotta remember that I am not alone.
Yeah.
I am not alone
Yeah.
because I have my wife or my husband, and I also have God right
Yeah,
there
for
with me.
sure, for
You know what I
sure.
mean? And these are the things I have resources. These are the
Yeah.
things I can rely on. It ain't all about me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you gotta be comfortable enough to open up to realize that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You ain't alone because you're not by yourself no more.
Yeah.
You created this team around you, and you gotta trust the process. You gotta trust that God gave you the right
Yeah.
people.
Trust the covenant.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
For me, I feel like dealing with healing while married, it's, it's hard times and it's good times with it. For me, I feel like one of the positive things about healing while married is that watching you be a good father to our children.
Mhm,
I didn't grow up with my father in the home. So to see you be a good father to our children, to just be that wonderful man within the home and allowing our children just to have access to that,
mhm,
that healed a part of me that I didn't know I needed because I didn't have my father in the home. So just watching you be present, it healed that little girl in me. So it's like you healed me in ways you didn't even know because
mhm.
just being that person or just being that father that I never had, so that was healing for me within our marriage, and that to me I think that that's a beautiful thing.
It's such a beautiful thing because but you know what's crazy about what you just said? I'm just going with the punches, you know what I mean? I'm just
Yeah.
trying to be the person because you see me evolve right before your eyes, right? Like I wasn't the like I just said before, I wasn't the man that I am today, right?
Yeah.
But you see me transition right before your eyes.
Yeah.
You see me become a boy to a man
Yeah.
right before your eyes. And I seen the same. I
Yeah.
watched you become a little girl to a grown woman. I remember we met, you didn't even know how to cook. You know what I mean?
Oh, slow down.
You
Slow
didn't
down.
even know how to cook. You know what I mean?
Make some noodles, some
Yeah,
pork
so,
chops.
yeah, a bowl of cereal, that's all you can make. You know what I mean? But you look at you today and you like one of the best cooks
Yeah.
ever. You something when you met me, I didn't know how to cook. I
Yeah.
still don't quite know how to cook, but I can barbecue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's that growth, but you gotta trust the process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta give each other time. You have to be patient with one another.
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta
Patience for sure. Like,
yeah, patience is the key.
yeah.
Patience is most definitely the key.
And I think like healing in a marriage can be healthy because like you have somebody to lean on,
Mhm.
but I think each person is always on the same page. Like no matter what healing process you're going through or healing journey you're going through, always just communicating and making sure that like we're both on one accord.
Yep. And just be, you know, and another thing, man, sometimes you just gotta be nice. Keeping things spicy in your relationship. You know what I mean? Every now and then you look at your wife and you say, girl, you sex. You know what I mean? Girl, you beautiful. You know what I mean? I can't wait till the night. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta just keep things spicy in your relationship because a lot of times we get sidetracked and it become a business deal. And it can't become a business deal. You know what I mean? You gotta still live and have fun with one another as we do this thing called life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then also like with us in our marriage right now, we're both growing spiritually and we're just like growing individually. And a lot of times, like when both people are growing at the same time, how do you keep that, balance in your marriage? Like that can be hard because, we're both growing, but we're also growing at our own pace.
You gotta have patience
Yeah,
because at one point in time, you were further on your spiritual journey and then I surpassed you.
yeah,
And then you came back and surpassed me again.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So you gotta be patient with one another because life is a roller coaster. You
yeah.
have your ups and your downs, your ups and your downs, your ups and your downs.
What is one area where you feel like you had to grow in order to love yourself better?
I had to grow into being a father.
Mhm.
I had to really grow into that because when you got children, it stopped being about all about you.
Mhm.
You gotta take accountability of like usually when you ain't got kids, you can just wake up and you can just feed yourself.
Right.
But when you got kids, you gotta make sure them babies eat.
Yeah.
When you ain't got kids, you can just go get fly and you can go get fresh as you want to be. But when you got kids, no, they gotta get fly first. You get fly last. You know what I mean? Because that's your responsibility and they didn't ask to be here. So you gotta do what you need to do as a parent to, handle that business. You know what I mean? And that's something I had to lean into.
Even with that, like, our children are watching us.
Yeah.
So it's like if you got a broken version of you or an unhealed version of you, like you're going to project that onto your children.
Right.
And then it's going to be a pattern. Like a lot of times we have habits of our parents that were projected onto us from not healing properly. So it's like we got to make sure that we're also healing properly so that we don't pass that down to our children. Like just being mindful
Generational
of,
curses.
yeah, just being mindful of like how we carry ourselves.
That's one thing that you know, you're absolutely right about that because that's one thing. Now that I think about it, I remember when I was on the couch. This is when I used to smoke cigarettes. I was smoking a cigarette one day, and my son seen me smoking a cigarette, and he said, "When I get older, I'm gonna blow the smoke out my nose."
Yeah, I remember that.
And that made me feel like a loser. That right there, that day, I said, "Okay, I got to figure something out because he's watching me."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you gotta really like be mindful of the things that you show your children. Absolutely.
Yeah. You had to grow and just heal in that aspect.
All right, now let me ask you a question.
hmm
What is one area you have to grow in to love yourself better?
I think for me, I had to learn how to stop leading with fear and doubt. Like just letting fear take control of certain situations or letting doubt take control over situations. Like if I didn't trust in God and just believe in his will for me, I wouldn't be able to fully love myself because I was really going day to day with fear and just doubt. Like I had to get control of that in order to like truly love myself for real.
Mhm.
What about you?
Me, not giving myself enough grace.
That's a good one.
Not giving myself enough grace. I've been through a lot, and I'm a man, so I'm a warrior, you know what I mean?
Right.
So a lot of times I feel like I blame myself and I hold myself accountable for things, but I don't give myself grace. Like when I do something, I get upset with myself and I'm not real I wasn't really patient with myself. I would just attack, 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 attack. When it come
Yeah.
to bills, I'm on them. I
Yeah.
mean, like I don't give my time. Like even when I'm tired, when I know I should be calling off work, I don't call myself off work, you know what I mean? Because I gotta go get it. You know what I mean? Just not giving my but it's okay to call off work. Give yourself that grace.
Yeah.
It's okay to call it's okay not to do this. It's okay not to do that. Give yourself grace. Be patient with yourself. It's okay. That don't mean you're a failure. Give yourself grace.
A lot of times with self-love, like, it can be this misunderstanding,
Mhm.
you know? So, like, what's a lie that you believed about yourself in this process?
Is that I was gonna be dead or in jail.
Wow.
Because when you come from where we come from, a lot of times we don't make it out.
Wow.
It's either those two options, dead or in jail. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's a hard that's when I turned 30, I was surprised. You know what I mean? Now that I'm 39, like I'm not gonna lie to you, it's still shocking, you know.
Who
But
planted that in your head? Like, how
society,
society?
yeah, because when you look on the news and you look in the urban areas, a lot of kids die in their 20s.
Mhm.
They don't make it to see 30. 30 in the ghetto in the urban area is like an OG. You know what I mean? You don't really see too many people that make it to see 30. So even if like you 26, you are OG. You know what I mean? How many people have since me and you been together? How many people have you seen? How many people have you known since like friends of mine that passed before they could see 30?
Yeah, it's a lot.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
A lot of people that we know pass before they can see 30. And when you got that, when you seeing that and you're around that, it's just you start to ask yourself, like, am I next? You start to believe like what the world tell you.
yeah.
Like, like you're not gonna make it to see a certain age.
In your spiritual journey and having a relationship with God, now, how are you able to see that that was a lie?
Because you know what I started to realize? I was only in danger because of my surroundings.
Mhm,
The things that I was doing, the people I was hanging around. When I removed myself from that situation, I
mhm.
realized that everything was a lie. If I remove myself from the people that's like that
Right.
and get a different crowd, get a different flock,
Uh-huh.
then life would be different. So now I go to church.
Yeah.
Those people are nothing like the people I used to hang around.
Yeah, for
You know what I
sure.
mean? Those people are completely different. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? These are faithful people. These are people that go to work every single day and they just on a straight path.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and for me, I feel like a lie that I believed growing up was that I was doing too much,
Mm.
and it's like, I wasn't doing too much, it's
You
just
not
that
doing
the
enough, baby.
people yeah, the people that I was around,
Mhm.
they wasn't doing enough.
Mm.
So it's like, growing up, I believe that like, okay, shimmer down a little bit because you don't wanna make, your friends feel insecure or you don't wanna make family feel insecure. So it's like you shimmer down a little bit because
To make other people
people
happy.
giving you yeah, and then people give you this persona like, "Okay, you doing too much."
Mhm.
But it's like, you know,
You can't make yourself unhappy to make them happy.
I feel like my spiritual relationship with God and the journey that I'm on right now, I've been praying, I've been meditating, and God been showing me visions.
Mm.
And the visions that God been showing me has showed up like the person that they said was doing too much.
Mm.
So that let me know that like I'm right on task and I'm right where I need to be because God showed me that person.
Mm.
And that person was even more than what people, felt like the person was that was doing too
Yeah.
much,
Oh man.
So it's like that was a lie that I was told, like, or people wanted me to believe that I was doing too much, but God has
That's because they didn't understand the journey because you tapped in and they not tapped in. You know what
yeah,
I mean? So when you got like a certain when you just around a certain flock, people fear what they don't understand.
yeah.
So
And
when you started like your circle started to change and your vibe started to change, they wanna pull you back in because you getting too far away from them. You know what I mean?
yeah, and then I feel like when God has called you to do something,
Mm.
you gotta just move,
You do.
regardless of what somebody else feel or how they think, like, you gotta just move, and it's like, if I would've listened to that lie and I would've stayed shimmered down to make other people comfortable,
Mhm.
I would never be the person that God has called me to be.
Mm.
I would've missed out on my blessings trying to please other people and believe in that lie,
Mm.
when in reality, God's saying, "No, I want you to turn it up. I want you to be all that I have called you to be," but it's like, you can't believe the lies that, like, people put in your ear about you because they can be intimidated by you,
Right.
or they can see the oil on you, and they want you to believe this lie like, "Oh, no, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't write that book. You shouldn't start that podcast. You shouldn't start that YouTube channel."
Yeah.
Like, they want you to believe these lies,
They
but
put
it's
a lot of times though, I don't a lot of times they just wanna put their fear on you
yeah, for
because they
sure.
they they so they got their own fear and now they put their fear on you, but you can't like you said, you know what God told you?
Yeah, for sure, and it's like so it's like in your healing process, you can't believe the lies that
Mhm.
people want you to believe about yourself. You gotta trust in God and have that relationship and be connected and know, what God got for you
You know,
regardless of what anybody think.
that remind me of a story.
Uh-huh.
Can I just say something real quick? That
Yeah.
remind me of a story. You remember when we was first buying that rental property,
Yes.
and I don't know why, but I was asking people, "Should I buy the property?"
Right.
And you remember the first thing, it was a guy named Dave. Do you remember what he told me?
I don't know, it was a while ago.
He told me I would not buy a house because the taxes alone was going to kill you.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Remember he
yeah.
told me that?
Yeah, yeah.
And when we bought the house and my taxes was what, about $2,000 a month. I mean, a year. I'm sorry, $2,000 a year. You know what I mean? It was like 1,000 for the summer, 1,000 for the winter. And it's like, where are they killing you at? Because you charging that for the rent. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So your tenant is paying that anyways.
Yeah.
So that was a lie that he told me. But if I would have listened
Believed
to him,
it. Yeah.
yeah, I would have never accomplished of being a landlord or
Yeah.
buying a property because of
Yeah.
his fear.
Yeah.
And he didn't
Missing
know
out
what
on
he was talking about.
Yeah, missing out on your
You missing
blessing
out on your blessings.
because believing a lie that somebody want
Yep.
or a lie that somebody tried to plant
Yep.
in your head or manifest in your head when that was never the truth.
And I do remember him saying his friend was a landlord, and that's what his friend told him. So he wouldn't do it because of that reason. So somebody had put their fear on him, and he tried to put their fear on me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, for
Because they
sure.
fear worked on him, don't mean it's gonna work on me.
Yeah, and then I think too, like when it comes to self-love and self-healing, that journey can get lonely because you can be asking people like, "What do you think about this? What do you think about that?"
Mhm,
And you can't do that. You can't get other people's opinions
mhm,
about your healing. Like when you're connected and you're praying and you're meditating, you got to listen to what God is telling you because you can get people opinions all you want to, but
mhm.
that might not be aligned with what God has called for you.
Correct.
So it's like so that healing process can be lonely, you know?
Yeah. It's most definitely lonely. Definitely when people start to see you grow and they at a standstill, people can get intimidated by that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, for
People
sure.
can really feel some type of way about that because you starting to change, and they don't like the change. They don't like the
Yeah.
growth. They want some people change in people's life make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But if you don't stay uncomfortable in your life, you won't grow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people just comfortable where they are, but they'll never be nowhere because they happy with comfortability. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Comfortability is it's a killer. That's you gotta stay uncomfortable.
Yeah. A lot of times, like when you're healing spiritually, they say God isolates you.
Mm,
And I understand that because like God has to separate you from others because if not, that lie that people try to implant in your head, if he don't isolate you and he don't strengthen you
that'll be a
and
reality.
prepare you,
That'll be your
you will
reality.
believe those lies because God didn't remove you from certain scenarios and just strengthen your mind and strengthen your relationship with him so that when you get back into the world from isolation,
Mhm.
your mind and your train of thought is in a whole nother, atmosphere.
Can I ask you a question? If you had to say anything to the listeners that's out there,
Mhm.
what would you tell them to do about loving themselves?
For me, I think loving yourself, you really have to take it day by day.
Mhm,
It's so many ways that you got to work on loving yourself because you got the physical, you got the spiritual, you got the mental. But a lot of times, I think in any area that you're working on, you got to get to the roots. You got to get to the root so that you can heal properly. Like you got to get to the root of things. Like I remember one time I asked God, "Show me me."
mhm,
And that was a tough season in my life because God started to reveal things to me that I didn't even know about myself. Like I had stepped in that phase of like, God, show me me.
mhm,
Like if I'm in a situation and I'm the one that's at wrong, show me right away. Like let me know that I'm the one that's at fault. And that was tough. But that was a part of healing because if I didn't ask God to show me me,
yeah.
I would be walking around thinking that I got it going on when really it's like, no,
No, you
baby,
don't.
you got some things that you need to work on. So I had to get to the root of that to see like God, how am I representing you?
Yeah.
Like, am I really representing you how I'm supposed to?
Mhm,
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying I'm a godly woman, but God, how is my heart? Like, is my heart clean?
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to get to the root of it. It's difficult and it's a sad truth sometimes, but you got to get to the root of your healing in all situations.
mhm. If I had to say anything, you know what I'd tell them? I say, be patient with yourself and be kind to yourself because it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be hard. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard because you got a lot of trauma that's backed up from years and years and years. You can't expect for you to get over that in a week or
Yeah.
a weekend or a day or an hour. It's gonna take just as much time as it did to build up to get rid of it.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
you gotta be kind and you have to be patient with yourself and make it it's a day-to-day walk. But I'm gonna tell you one thing. My wife and I, we are not perfect people. We went through our ups and downs in our relationship.
Mhm.
We went through our ups and downs in life. And I'm just here to tell you, we here with you. If
Yeah.
you feel that you need somebody and you ain't got nobody, feel free to always inbox us or send us an email. What's the at lovingthyselfpodcast.com. You can send us an email, and if you need somebody to talk to, if you need somebody to vent with,
Yeah.
we right here with you because we family. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I know how it feels sometimes when you feel like you don't nobody hear you,
Yeah.
nobody see you. Nobody, I understand sometimes you can't go to family members or friends because they judgmental. I
Right.
understand that. You know what I mean? But this is a no judge zone, and we here to help you with your journey because we on our own journey as well. We can
Yeah.
do this together because we family. You feel me?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
and like, go ahead. I just wanted to say that. I'm sorry, y'all. I was just bitten for a minute. I just wanted to say that. Go ahead.
That was real good, babe. I like that. On that note, I think we should end with a prayer.
I'm with that.
Okay. Bow your head. Heavenly Father, we thank you for reminding us that we are made in your image. Teach us how to see ourselves the way you see us. Remove every lie we've believed about who we are. Heal the broken places in us that we try to hide. Help us love ourselves in a way that honors you, not in pride, but in purpose. Strengthen marriages, restore confidence, and renew minds through this message. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And remember, you can't truly love others unless you love the person that God created you to be.
And always remember the
The healing
healing
begins
begins with
with
loving
loving.
thyself.
Ah, see, you
God bless
guys
you.
better. Yeah.